Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Today, I wanted to make a contrast or a comparison between the military and the police and what people who are in power are required to do. People who are in power are required to do and what they can and cannot do. If you have not been paying attention, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, yes, that's still his title, is a little bit of hot water for having ordered some strikes on boats, giving those commands. But I'm going to make the case as well that it may not just be him that is in trouble, but everyone who's pushed the button, flew the planes, ordered the operations, oversaw the operations, may also be in hot water, right? So let's take a look at some Geneva Conventions here so we can get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Geneva Convention. This comes from the International Committee of the Red Cross. We're not going to go through the whole thing here, but I wanted to try to highlight, what I think is important. The 1949 Geneva Conventions and additional protocols are international treaties that contain the most important rules limiting the barbarity of war. They protect people who do not take part in the fighting, civilians, medics, aid workers, and those who can no longer fight, wounded, sick, and shipwrecked troops, prisoners of war. So this thing has been ironed out in the 1949s and has been codified overall. So let's take a look at this particular video here. We're going to play this. Hopefully this is going to play in the background here. Yeah. Here we go.
Since the beginning, humans have resorted to violence as a way to settle disagreements. Yet through the ages, people from around the world have tried to limit the brutality of war. It was this humanitarian spirit that led to the first Geneva Convention of 1864 and to the birth of modern international humanitarian law. Setting the basic limits on how wars can be fought, these universal laws of war protect those not fighting, as well as those no longer able to. To do this, a distinction must always be made between who or what may be attacked and who or what must be spared and protected. Most importantly, civilians can never be targeted. To do so is a war crime.
When they drove into our village, they shouted that they were going to kill everyone. I was so scared. I ran to hide in the bush. I heard my mother screaming. I thought I would never see her again.
Every possible care must be taken to avoid harming civilians or destroying things essential for their survival. They have a right to receive the help they need.
The conditions prisoners lived in never used to bother me. People like him were the reason my brother was dead. He was the enemy and was nothing to me. But then I realized that behind bars, he was out of action and no longer a threat to me and my family.
The laws of war prohibit torture and other ill treatment of detainees, whatever their past. They must be given food and water and allowed to communicate with loved ones. This preserves their dignity and keeps them alive. Medical workers save lives, sometimes in the most dangerous conditions.
Fighters from both sides were wounded in a deadly battle. We were taking them to the nearest hospital. At the checkpoint, a soldier threatened us to treat his men only. We were running out of time, and I was afraid that now all of them were going to die.
Medical workers must always be allowed to do their job, and the Red Cross or Red Crescent must not be attacked. The sick or wounded have a right to be cared for, regardless of whose side they are on. Advances in weapons technology have meant that the rules of war have also had to adapt. Because some weapons and methods of warfare don't distinguish between fighters and civilians, limits on their use have been agreed. In the future, wars may be fought with fully autonomous robots. But will such robots ever have the ability to distinguish between a military target and someone who must never be attacked? No matter how sophisticated weapons become, it is essential that they are in line with the rules of war. international humanitarian law is all about making choices that preserve a minimum of human dignity in times of war and make sure that living together again is possible once the last bullet has been shot.
All right, so that's that from that particular place there, from the Red Cross, Red Crescent. All right, so let me take you here to the International Law Studies. This was published in 1895, U.S. Naval War College. Duty to render assistance to armed mariners in distress during armed conflict at sea, a U.S. perspective. Raul Pete Pedrezo, 94, this is 2018. Duty to render assistance to mariners in distress during armed conflict, U.S. perspective, right? Duty to render assistance. Let's go here. Customary international law has long recognized the affirmative obligation of mariners to render assistance to persons in distress at sea to the extent they can do so without serious danger to their ship, crew, or passengers. This long-standing custom is codified in a number of international treaties adopted under the auspices of the International Maritime Organization, that's IMO, as well as the 1958 Geneva Convention of the High Seas and the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Moreover, there is nothing in the IHL that precludes neutrals from providing such assistance. On the contrary, Article 17.1 of the additional protocol specifies that provide civilian population and aid societies shall be permitted, even on their own initiative, to collect and care for the wounded, sick, and shipwrecked, even in invaded or in occupied areas, right? So this is long-standing laws. And again, I'm not a lawyer. Again, I have not been trained in the military. I'm just talking about what has been going on here and whether they have a duty to do this double tap that they've done, and duty to intervene, and duty to try to assist people who are in need. Okay, so let's take a look at what some senators or congresspersons, let's just put it that way. I'm not sure if they're senators or not, but let's just put a congresspersons, right? And this comes from Senator Alyssa Slotkin. This is her X page. I think I got this all on the same page here, right? We want to speak directly to members of the military and to the intelligence community. American people need you to stand up for our laws and our Constitution. Don't give up the ship. Can I make this larger here? Let's see.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
To protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
And so for this, it's my understanding that President Trump wanted them to be taken down and arrested and possibly given the death penalty for this making of this video. In fact, here's the article here. Trump accuses Democrats of seditious behavior punishable by death for urging military to ignore illegal orders. Right. So this is what he thinks calls for the death penalty. So let's read through some of what happened with this particular situation with Pete Hegseth, this double tap, and let's get into it. Admiral testified Hegseth did not give kill them all orders, U.S. lawmakers say. A U.S. Navy admiral testified that the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth did not give the order to kill them all during a controversial second U.S. military strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean, multiple lawmakers have said. The affirmations by Democratic and Republican lawmakers were made after reviewing the footage of the September 2nd double strike incident and hearing from Admiral Frank Bradley in closed-door hearings. The briefing before members of the House Representatives and later the Senate came as questions continued around the legality of the military force used against suspected drug boats. The White House has said Admiral Bradley was responsible for the strikes and that he acted within the law. Of course, they're going to say that. On Thursday evening, the U.S. military posted on X that it had killed 4 people in another boat strike in the Eastern Pacific Ocean at Hegseth's direction. Prior to news of the latest strike, lawmakers reacted to the testimony with the most senior Democrat of the House Intelligence Committee, Jim Hines, saying that Admiral Bradley had his respect and should have the respect of us all. He added, what I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. Yes, they were carrying drugs. They were not in a position to continue their mission in any way, Hines said. Okay, so I'm assuming that they actually saw the drugs on there. House Armed Service Committee members released a joint statement with Hines calling for the video to be released publicly. The brief left us more questions than answers, and Congress must continue to investigate this matter and conduct oversight, they said. Republican Senator Tom Cotton, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said Admiral Bradley and Hegseth did exactly what we would expect them to do. No, that's not what we expect them to do. I saw 2 survivors trying to flip on a boat loaded I saw 2 survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound to the United States back over so they could stay in the fight, Cotton said. Republican House Representative Rick Crawford also defended the strikes and said there was no doubt in my mind that they were done in a way that was professional. Senator Jack Reed, a Democrat, said in a statement that he was disturbed by what he saw, adding that his party would continue to investigate the incident. The revelation that there were 2 strikes when the first left survivors has raised news questions about the legality of the administration's deadly ongoing campaign against boats due to what the rules of conflict say about the targeting wounded combatants. U.S. President Donald Trump said he has no problem with the video of the second strike being made public. Footage of the first strike has already been released. Well, he doesn't have a problem with a lot of this stuff. So you guys can go over there and finish reading that. Let's see. Do I want to play this here? What are these guys saying here?
Rory McIlroy knows success takes preparation.
Admiral Bradley and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff did the right thing. Admiral Bradley defended the decisions taken, and Admiral Bradley has a storied career, and he has my respect, and he should have the respect of all of us. But what I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have 2 individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States.
I didn't see anything in there that concerned me. Look, these videos have been made and released for 25 years. Like, you've all seen videos that have been released of drone strikes or helicopter strikes on terrorist groups in Afghanistan or Syria or Iraq or Yemen. There's nothing novel or new here. Just because it happened on water doesn't make any different than happening on land.
Okay. All right. So again, I'm asking the question and giving my opinion about the legality of the incident that occurred and whether, number one, it should have occurred. Do we have the right to attack individuals rather than arresting them or trying to arrest them, shooting at their engines and then trying to board them in a legal manner in order to get intelligence, or whether they should have just used unilateral excessive force in order to act as judge, jury, and executioner and people who are selling drugs or running drugs. So, I'm completely disgusted by it as a former law enforcement officer. This is not the way we would have gotten down within the public. With the public, we want to arrest criminals. We try not to take people's lives. We try not to take people's lives. We try not to take people's lives. And to give these types of lessons, these types of orders in order to, rather than detain them, arrest, detain, and then try to get intelligence from them about further actions. The mission is now just to act as if they are enemy combatants and then unilaterally kill them. This is something I have a serious problem with, and I hope that the lawmakers do the right thing with their decisions. I have a problem with the double tap strikes, but I know the enormous pressure that these officers and sailors are under as they deal with this, right? So you don't want to go against the command. Is the order lawful? And this is why, you know, different persons from the administration should have JAG officers, judge advocate generals, to help them to understand whether their orders that are given are actually legal or not. So let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Do you think the orders were legal? Do you think they should have swung around and did a double tap strike? Or should they have gone in there and tried to rescue those who are clearly not enemy combatants? And we won't know the answer to this until we actually see the videos. But according to Jim Himes, he said it wasn't. And the other senator there, I believe it's Tom Cotton, I believe, said that it was okay. Nothing wrong here. It doesn't make any difference over water. Well, somebody needs to brush up on their Geneva Conventions and other uniform codes of military justice, etc. So let me know your thoughts and opinions. Hit me in the comments section. Much love and peace.